Welcome everybody to this amazing happening, because it should have happened in April this year, and because of COVID-19 everything was shut down, and I made the decision that I was going to make myself available for people in great challenge instead. And I kind of had in my mind it probably wouldn't happen this year. And it has, and here we are this evening at the grand opening of the 2020 certification program. And this program has been running now. This is our fifth year of the certification program. So I'm really pleased to have you all. We've got some guests with us tonight. We've got past pupils, and we've got our new intake, our new students joining us for the next 10 to 13 months. So really very special to have you all. So now I am going to share a screen with you. So we have quite a few members of the team here tonight. We've got, I'm just having a look, we've got George and Jenny and Larissa, and Sadia's been past pupil too, and Toya and Bella. And I'm really pleased to have them all with us tonight. We're going to talk, each of them are going to talk a little bit about, really is a little bit, because there are quite a few of us. So basically they're going to share with you in literally 2 sentences each what it is that brought them into doing the certification program, and why, and their biggest aha moment of that. So first of all, let's start off with Jenny. Jenny, welcome. Let's unmute you. Unmute yourself, Jenny. Can you unmute?
I'm sorry, there we go. yes, I'm unmuted. But
All right.
I've gone into my room, which is a bit dark, so I'm actually just putting a light up.
Okay, all right. Now, just to let everyone know, Jenny's in Nairobi, Kenya. And she's joining us tonight as a past pupil that's done this whole process. So, Jenny, in a nutshell, what got you to join the Epiphany process? Oh, well, the certification program. Let's go into that.
I'm losing you.
That's okay. Take the camera off. That's fine. So what got you into the certification program, and what was your aha moment?
Okay, so before the certification program, I had a number of conversations with Janetta, and I'd worked through a few things. I think we'd had like 5 calls, and I had joined some of these weekly meetings that were being held at the time, which, and I had noticed things starting to shift. And, you know, and I was really...
Jenny, I'm just going to interrupt you. We've got a short amount of space for each person. So if you could just say why you joined the certification program, and what was your aha moment out of it?
Oh, goodness. I joined it because I really saw an opportunity to live an amazing life. And what I got out of it was, gosh, there were so many aha moments. But if I put them all together, I have to say I got balance. I got my business.
Okay.
Probably most of all, I have my business, which I would not have if it had not been for the Epiphany process.
And Jenny is CEO of her business, which is an international business. So you were trying to juggle and really battling with it all, weren't you?
Yes, absolutely. I and my business partner were just not able to communicate, and it was starting to spiral. And I really think that without the epiphany process, I would no longer have my business, because I wouldn't have been able to manage my business partner, my own emotions in such a really productive manner. So now I have a business, it's growing from strength to strength, and largely thanks to the epiphany process. I really don't know if we would have survived, or it would have survived without it. I mean, that's just one area where it was really just poof without it. Yeah.
I know there are many other areas, and you did so well and worked so diligently. And a little bit later, for our new team members, once our guests have left this evening, the team is going to give you some guidance as to how best to study this material and use it, because they've all gone through it really well. So they'll be able to give you some pointers and guidance there. So thank you, Jenny. Okay, so Larissa, what got you to come into the epiphany process?
What made me go to self-mastery was because it helps you personally, really on a personal level, and it makes you work the process thoroughly. And the more I worked it, the more I really enjoyed each aha moment. And it just made me made me more independent and not have to rely on Janetta. So that's why I went through with it. And my biggest aha moment was, if lots of you know my story, but probably when I logged onto social media, and for the first time it just didn't affect me, and that was while I was doing the self-mastery and fine-tuning the epiphany process.
Yeah, wow. Also, some of you might remember Larissa's testimonials where she had an eating disorder and really didn't want to carry on living, and the process helped you through that initially before certification. Thank you, Larissa. Okay, George.
Hi, everyone. I've known Janetta for a long time, and I've been around about the same amount or period of time been interested in coaching, and but I also wanted to keep on improving myself or personal growth. So I agreed to join the Epiphany process. And I discovered it was just much more than coaching, right? But I think to put in a nutshell, what's helped me the most, especially looking back, is similar to, and it's interesting because I was in the same team, the same group as Jenny, is similar to what Jenny mentioned about this emotional IQ. Because I hadn't even realized what an angry guy I was. And to balance out that emotion and become more balanced in my emotions, especially from anger, and have that kind of emotional intelligence to cope with life, especially now as things are difficult for some people, has been, I think, probably the highlights of what I've benefited from this far.
Yeah. And George is just about to qualify as an Epiphany consultant, so that's really great. And so is Larissa. Larissa's not far off from qualifying too. So, okay, Bella.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you guys. My story is different in a way, but the reason is similar. I was going through a really hard time when I met Janetta. It's very interesting that we met at that particular point. because my daughter just turned 2 months, and my late husband's cancer spread all over his body, and we knew he had only a few months to live. I felt completely lost. I never dealt with the death in the family, didn't know how to process it, didn't know how to process my daughter being without her father. And I grew up without a father. So many things were happening. I literally could not breathe. When I met Janetta, the energy she brought in, the lightness, I was just able to take a breath. And I started taking those weekly calls, which were very interesting. And I was surprised by many things that I was learning.
Okay, so Bella, if you could just give an idea of what got you into certification and what you got out of it.
Yeah, that was my next sentence.
Thank you.
So basically, I didn't feel it was enough of understanding of the process. And then Janetta, she was giving out small sample sessions, individual sessions for people who were online. And once I had that session, I had an aha moment. That was for me weakness in myself. So I was definitely interested in learning more. And that's how I got into certification program.
And what did you get out of it, Bella?
Basically the skill. From time to time, if it's a big charge, I still need your help. You know, we have sessions once in a while, but on a daily basis, I'm able to balance myself out. I'm able to process emotions, and I'm dealing with some very, very strong emotions now. Probably most of you know what's going on in America right now, to the point where we don't feel safe in our own houses. And that's sad because, you know, personally, my family never had any problems with any race, and it's very scary. Businesses getting destroyed, cities getting ruined. I'm dealing with a lot of emotions right now that some are very hard to process, but I'm managing. Even this morning, I processed something in myself that I was really shocked with violence. You know, I have very strong charge against violence. Yeah. But a minute ago, I realized that I'm enjoying those violent videos where people come out with their guns and protect their business and fight off those violators. And I enjoy seeing that. I'm like, yay, go get them. So there is violence, you know, there is violence in all of us. Still hard to see all those places getting destroyed and burned, and it's heartbreaking. But I'm trying.
Okay. And that's the interesting thing, Bella, is that now you've booked a top-up session so that you can deal with it again.
Yeah, I need to go deeper on that, and I need your help with that. But as the session approaching, I'm trying to work it through as well.
Okay, cool bananas. All right. Toya.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, I'm going to go directly. So I joined the certification because I've always been interested in personal development. And then with my profession, I found that it was something that I needed. And the Epiphany process was just like the perfect thing. So that's why I joined it originally. And then I actually qualified. So I'm certified as an Epiphany process, what do you call it, specialist.
Consultant.
And the biggest aha moment for me was working on my life values. So that was the biggest aha moment I got. And so yeah, short, concise, that's it.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so we haven't got too many guests that managed to come on. Most of in fact, all of our attendees are people who are either signed up or are past people. So I'm going to keep things running as they are.
Janetta, I think my sister's on here. I think my sister's listening, isn't she? Is Jess not here? I'm sure she was here just now.
What's there? Yes, she is. Jess Rubin?
Okay. Yes.
Jess, you're very welcome to stay on. If we'd had, I was expecting 5 or 6 people, and I've been getting messages saying they're battling to get on. So I was going to say, if you wanted to stay, you can. If you want to go, you can go, as we go into the next part of what we're doing. So tonight we're going to take the process and expand it that much more with the theory side. I'm going to talk a little bit on that. And then we're going to go over the exercises so that you understand exactly how to use those Google documents. And I'll show you how to get started this evening. So that's the most important part about this evening, is to get you going this week. So before we do, in actual fact, there is somebody else who hasn't done the certification or completed it, but is very, very special to the Epiphany process, and that's Sadia. And some of you might have listened to Sadia's interview a few weeks ago when I interviewed her about the Westgate terrorist attack. So Sadia, what's in a couple of sentences, what's the certification program done for you?
Well, it obviously helped me process a lot of stuff that surfaced after the Westgate attack. Considering that was 7 years ago, it's never stopped. I've had countless aha moments, most recently, like 2 weeks ago, I suppose. It just keeps coming. It's more about learning how to collapse situations and just connecting the dots. And yeah, it's been a beautiful process. I don't have much to say about it because I live it every day, and I can't imagine life without it, basically.
Yeah, I think that was one of the big things with our interview when we did it. And I said, talk about Westgate. And you said, I hardly ever think about it anymore. In fact, it's kind of like I've forgotten most of it. And that's exactly the epitome of the Epiphany, is that it helps you to drop really traumatic charges in the most spectacular way. So thank you. Okay, everybody. So again, who would like to go first in giving advice on how to handle these documents or this homework? Yes, George.
I'm known to put up my hand first, but this time I need to go. I've got another Zoom meeting at 7:30.
Yes, teacher.
So I've been teaching too much. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's a tough course. It really it made me, at least, let me speak for myself, dig deep. And human nature would tell me that I have to do this. But to do this, to get a lot of benefit out of the course, it's very important to attend every session. I mean, I was in China. I used to get up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning or something, put my alarm on, get up. But I made an effort because I saw the importance of it. And another thing, do the homework. The homework's not easy because it really gets to you to think. It got me, at least, to think very deeply and come up with a lot of pain sometimes. But when you type it in, once you're doing it, you're actually processing yourself.
Yeah.
Just thinking now, it's just come to mind. If any of you are planning on doing the certification as well, or the certification to stick to it, complete it. But while you're doing the exercises, just remember the questions too, because those are important. Because then once you get along, once you get into it, and you understand the process, you can process yourself, which is we've heard how useful that is.
Yeah.
And Jeanetta's very busy, but she's always there. She's there. She's just an email or a phone call away.
Absolutely. That's so true. Thank you, George. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add? Bella?
Yes, I just would like to add about exercises. It's true, it is tough, especially if you're working on your deepest charges. There are so many roadblocks. It's unbelievable. It's all in your mind, obviously. What worked for me, I would start something and I would feel the block, just let it go. let it sink in, let it marinate for a couple of hours, and then I would be just driving towards my next client, and it just like the light bulb will go on, and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. Like, now I understand what it is, and I would just pull over, just write it down, and then go on with my life. So it kind of comes and goes in waves. You know, you may feel like, I do not understand the question, I don't know what she's asking me, or your body just doesn't feel like processing certain things, or your mind. Just let it sit there for a little bit. You can come back to it later, or it just comes back out of nowhere and it just hits you and you're like, I got it. So just try to be patient with the process. Not easy process by any means, but totally worth it.
Thanks, Bella. Thank you. Toya, you put your hand up. You have to unmute.
Yeah, I know. Was just getting there. Yeah, so it's joining what everyone said. So just be super consistent, go step by step, like go through every module, because really you have that for life. Once you go through the modules, it's hard work, but you have it for life. And like everyone said, Janetta is just a phone call away or an email away if you are blocked, because you will be blocked. It's going to happen. And also, like Bella said, like if you're really stuck, and contact Netta and then go away, take a break and come back to it. Sometimes you just need to take a break, because it is, like George said, it's really deep things, and you're confronted to your inner villains and all sorts of things. So, but really do it, because not doing it is not going to serve you. It's a disservice to yourself. So go through each module thoroughly and be consistent, and you're going to have a life-changing tool, and for life.
Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything? Yes, Jenny. Larissa, I'll get there. I'm not sure if you're putting it in your mouth or if you're really putting your hands up. Jenny.
So I was working full-time, building a business, got a young son. Time is precious. And so I would plan for it, carve out time. It is important to carve out time. You know, I love it. This is your life. You know, honestly, it's your life, and this course will really make a difference. You're going to feel tired. I used to sit down sometimes and do my homework. I would feel like this tiredness come over me. I'd feel my head would start aching. And I would push through it and keep working and keep doing the exercises and push through, because that's always where the breakthrough was. When I felt that heaviness, when I was like, okay, I've got a headache. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. That's where the breakthrough is. So you'll feel it over and over. But you know, this is your life. Don't let it go. Just keep pushing through it.
That's a very good point, Jenny, is when you're at the point of most resistance, where you could take your iPad or your laptop or whatever it is you're working on and quite easily throw it all out the window whilst working these exercises. Know that that's where your charge is sitting and your greatest block. So when you're sitting there saying, I don't understand the question and it's too complicated and I can't get through, it's because you're resisting that breakthrough. So it's like giving birth to a baby, that last push. No, it's like, okay, all right, one more contraction, and then the baby comes out and you've, oh my gosh, I got it. I get it.
There's 12 babies.
Poor old baby, yeah.
No, 12 of them.
12. 13, actually, if you do.
Oh, no.
Yes. But most of all, enjoy it. Celebrate yourself and celebrate the others on the course. I mean, doing the course with George, and it was really, I celebrated George's joys and triumphs as he celebrated mine, and it was so fulfilling to treasure those moments as well.
Yeah, it was an interesting team of people the year you did it. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, Larissa.
No, everyone said the right things, but I would just say there are deadlines and they're there for a reason, and Janetta is quite strict about it, and you'll see why when you get to the end, because it's really important that you don't just put it off and you work it every day. And to use Janetta. So what I used to do is I used to do it, and it used to come back covered in pink writing. Literally looked like the whole thing was wrong. But don't worry, there's a reason why. So do your corrections with Janetta, because that's when I used to get my aha moments. I used to think I'd done the work and sent it in, and actually the pink writing that came back was what really made me think and get the point. So
Yes.
yeah, don't worry about the pink writing.
And having said that, I'm so glad you've said that too. There will be some weeks where, you know, there's a lot of group consciousness in these things, where I can see everybody is battling with this particular session, and then I'll extend it a week. But that's only if it's really at that point, but that opportunity is there. So thank you.
Just use Janetta a lot. I did.
I'm not martyring here. Okay. Anybody else want to say anything? I know we've very specially got Moira Earnshaw here, who's my very precious friend, and she's just come to be part of who we are. But Moira, would you like to say a few words before we carry on? You need to unmute, my darling. Top right-hand corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'd like to say what I got from the process, and it came at a time when my marriage fell apart. There was there was a separation, but it wasn't a clean separation. It was by degrees of awareness of what we both wanted, how much we were able to change, how much we were willing to change. And at first we both consulted with Janetta separately, and then I continued on my own for years. And the wonderful thing was that every time I would be beating myself up because I hadn't got there yet, Janetta would say, this is not something that you just turn round and change like a gown. It is a question of, as you've all been pointing out, going further and further in more detail until you can't fool yourself anymore. I couldn't fool myself anymore. I could no longer have any particular fantasies. There was just the truth that I could see, my truth. And every now and then I still fall off it a little. But Janetta was always there to just ask the right questions. And then having asked me, I can see it's there. I mean, it doesn't always happen that quickly, but it really is what has given me, I guess it's a new life, new sense of myself, courage, respect, and a wonderful career.
Certainly has a really special career.
Yes.
Okay, and that was because of your greatest loss that's all come about. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we've covered everything. Everybody's had the ability to say what they need to say. We're going to move on into session 1. The people who are with us as guests, you're very welcome to stay for the theory side, just to hear how an epiphany process cycle works, on a more technical level. So we're going to do the theory side and open for questions. There probably won't be too many, but I'm not saying there shouldn't be. Please feel free to ask. And then we're going to go into the exercises themselves. So whoever wants to stay, you won't be able to see much because I am on the exercises with each and every person who's signed up. So please make sure you've got your exercises loaded up this evening, our new people, so that I can show you what to do and where. So I'm just going to pull up the session 1. I have lost it. Oh, here it is. It actually is here. And I'm going to share my screen again so that the people who... Right, so we're sharing, I hope. Can you see my screen? I can't wait to have help with all of this. I feel like an octopus on such nights. No, I'm just, can you see my screen or not? It's not allowing me to.
No.
No, it's not allowing me to share all of a sardine. Oh, there we go. I lie. See what happens when you lie. Okay, there we go. Can everybody see? All right. So the Epiphany process cycle. And I think this quote from Michael Smith from The Present is fantastic. Everything is balanced. Everything physical, matter, energy goes back and forth in balanced circles, cycles, or the equivalent. Birth, death, old, young, big, small, strong, weak, start, stop, up, down, rich, poor, beginning, end, fast, slow, hot, cold, pain, pleasure, win, lose, day, night, full, empty, high, low, in, out, success, failure, united, divided, give, receive, creation, destruction, on, off, positive, and negative forces moving in balance are the physical universe. So there's been a tendency in Western cultures to maximize happiness. And by the way, we're just about to launch on the Epiphany website a happiness quiz where people can measure their happiness quota because there's such an addiction to wanting to feel happy. So we maximize our happiness and minimize our sadness. And the benchmark has been that being unhappy is cause for concern. I can remember my mother going, oh, you know, either me or my brother were really unhappy, and she'd just about be wringing her hands on how to solve that and make us happy again. It was really a big charge for my mum. So it's very much out there. A lot of people think that if you're not unhappy, there's something wrong with life and there's something wrong with you. And there's much written and spoken about this in positive psychology and subjective well-being. It's kind of like, this is the law. Most non-Western cultures attach happiness as an indicator that life is acceptable and manageable. And some even feel it's inappropriate to express happiness in social scenarios. Many hold the belief that especially extreme happiness leads to unhappiness, which all of you know, even our newer people, that this is to be true because you've worked this process with me one-on-one. Our whole world operates within the cycles, the weather, the female cycles, electricity, and so on. And science shows us that energy can neither be destroyed nor created, and that this energy operates in cycles. If you study a cycle, it needs equal amount of positive and negative. Yet for a good part of the 20th century and now into the 21st, a large portion of the Western world's focused on the belief that our psyches operate differently. So, as you know, you've heard me talk about the power of positive thinking. And for almost 70 years, the motivational industry has advocated that positive thoughts, words, deeds, and positively envisioning one's success and eliminating negativity will bring guaranteed success, health, wealth, and a sustainable sense of peace and happiness. Now, I'm not dissing that. There are elements of that that are true. Half of it's actually true. And even the visioning has truth in it. The problem with visioning is that there's no contingency built into visioning as to what won't work, or where the service is and what doesn't work in your visioning. And when you're visioning from a place of judgment and fear, that skews the visioning too. So vision boards are very powerful. Don't get me wrong again. I used to be the vision board queen, and I still believe in them, but there's a way of handling them that brings in the negative side very powerfully so that your vision isn't in a place of fantasy where you haven't worked out what wouldn't work if that vision came into place. And that's what you're stepping into in session 1 today, is to become very centered and focused as to how these cycles work. So in reality, that creates a one-sided perception that being positive is more acceptable and lovable, when in actuality, embracing and balancing both the positive and negative sides to a charged thought or emotion brings acceptance, thankfulness, and spontaneous love about that which we were previously charged up about. So this simultaneously brings in clarity, certainty, and specificity. And the interesting thing is, if you look at the 3 ingredients that create manifestation of any of your dreams, when you're clear, certain, and very accurately specific about what it is that you want to manifest into your life, then you manifest it. And that doesn't mean that there'll be aspects that you don't have to tweak. You have to tweak it, even whilst you're still being certain and clear and specific on the whole picture. Parts of it will come in and you go, no, not quite there. All of you know I was so ill last year. I had a vision. It was all coming in, but there was a part of me that came in with a counter story I didn't even know I was running, and I got very ill. So I was able to take the process and bring the counter story into my vision of manifestation and get even more clear, certain, and specific. And there are still parts of it I'm still molding and remolding. The English weather is one of them. I have to just share with you. I'm really still finding it quite difficult, but there are ways to work that through, and I am. And when I was sitting this morning getting ready for this, going, wow, overall, I feel so complete in so many ways of what it was that I wanted to manifest. And yet early this morning, I was at high level frustration, because that'll happen too. Sharing this with you, because it doesn't matter how much you're manifesting and how clear and certain and specific you are, there will be days of frustration. My frustration today was, there's so much I want to get done, and I'm 62 on Saturday. And I really need to outsource and get as many people in the Epiphany team to work with me. And that takes time, finding the people and expanding and so on. And obviously my year of illness last year put things back quite dramatically. So it's about always bringing that certainty and clarity and specificity back into focus. It could be like a camera lens focus, or you could liken it to a radio station. And you know, there's the dial, but all radio stations, you get distortion and it gets pushed off there, and you get a lot of interference that goes on. radios these days are very good at bringing it back into the station again. But in the old days, when I was alive 150 years ago, that when it went off, you had to turn the dial back on to the station. And that's what you're doing here, as though you specifically know you want that station, and that's the station you want to operate on and be a part of and focus in. You are going to have wobblies and fall off that station. I'm 14 years into this process, and I still have to work it with the wobblies. But the difference is you are now stepping into being able to utilize tools really powerfully through this certification program so that it gets easier and easier to do. George often talks to me how he's in this incredible situation where something has to happen now, and suddenly he's realized he's processed it without realizing he's processed it. That's what this course will be doing for you. And here's the simplistic drawing of how an epiphany moment is created that I always get people to draw in the theater of their minds. Here it is in a more technical aspect with the infinity sign. There's your S wave, your 2 half wave cycles, the reversing of the polarities, and so on. That brings you into center here with acceptance, grace, and love. There's polarizing to guilt, shame, nightmare, or polarizing to pride and fantasy. And the more you try and be more one side than the other side. So if you've got your Gothic people on this side, on the left side of the screen, they're addicted to negativity. The people who are addicted to feeling high are addicted to positivity. So the two are going backwards and forwards. And the more you try and be more one side than the other, the more you reverse the polarities and the more you pull away from that center line of balance. So that gives it to you easily there. It explains about the almost 5,000 human traits and why it's important to deal with all 4,700 odd of them and not just half of them. So this whole thing gives you the more scientific explanation. And complementary opposites are something I also wanted to share with you this evening. So when you reverse the polarities and the positive and negative are coming towards each other like this, what happens then is as much as there's attraction, there's repulsion. Attraction, repulsion in that line. So you're doing those half wave cycles on the line, and it's doing that like two magnets pulling and pushing away at the same time. So they're complementing each other and opposing, complementing, opposing. And that's what an epiphany moment is. Guilt, shame, pride blocks and distorts your memory. We have somebody on the call tonight who's here for that. And so the more you work these exercises, the more your memory will become sharper and sharper. And we attract anything that we judge in ourselves as unloved or unlovable, any trait in ourselves, or any trait that we pride ourselves that we do better than anything else, we're going to attract people and circumstances into our lives who will challenge any extreme charge we have that's really about ourselves. So if we're going around saying, oh, I never do that, guess your bottom dollar, you're going to have 100,000 people and circumstances around you doing exactly that. Or if you're going around saying, I feel guilty that I do that, you're going to attract people who are doing the opposite, all on the journey of inadvertently teaching. So anybody that's challenging you right now, they're your inadvertent teachers, or any circumstance is your inadvertent teacher. And that's why so many couples come in really on the opposite sides of that spectrum, often, because opposites attract. So can you see and why I took 6 years before coming into this relationship with Andy, because I could see I was still operating from the extreme of my charges. And over these last 6 years, I've brought them in and in and in, so that when I have a conversation now, not always, but most of the time, I'm able to stand there, take a breath, bring it into balance, and then speak my truth from a place of not judgment and not fear. And that's what you're going to be learning. And then there's what we call the synchronistic, simultaneous synchronistic happening. So if you feel you've lost a quality or a trait or an experience, say like Toya's a very good example of this. Toya lost her mum and her baby sister in Burundi when rebels shot them. And Toya got shot too, but survived. So she lost her mother. And the moment she got into being able to see where she lost her mother in the mother form, that the mother energy was always around her, even after her mother came, and the benefits of having it to the same degree as not having it in different forms. It nearly blew her away. I see Toya's there still with us. So that simultaneous synchronistic happening, you're going to get more and more ahas on that as you do this course over the next few months, where you go, this was missing, this is where it was. And you'll always see there's never anything missing. All that's happening is your perception of what you should be experiencing in a certain form appears to be missing. But when you realize it's present in other forms and never disappeared, or it disappeared in that form and reformed, because you cannot, nothing can be lost. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's there at all times. It may complete itself in one form of cycle, but it always simultaneously and synchronistically reappears in another form. So you're going to learn a lot about that. So to finish off that exercise, I put in there the positive and negative charges and the more scientific description. Objects can be positively charged, negatively charged, or neutral with no charge. A substance that gains electrons becomes negatively charged, while a substance that loses electrons becomes positively charged. In brief, electrons are negative charges and protons are positive charges. All objects surrounding us, including people, contain large amounts of electric charge. There are two types of electric charge, positive charge and negative charge. And if the same amounts of negative and positive charge are found in an object, there is no net charge, and that the object is electrically neutral. If there is more of one type of charge than the other on the object, then the object is said to be electrically charged. So you, the object, are now learning how to bring yourself into that centered manageability. Are there any questions with that before we carry on? No? Well, there? Yes, Moira.
Mute. From that, I gather that the neutral position is the balance, yes, rather than either of those. Okay.
Yeah. So if you're extremely charged, you've heard me say, I'm really charged about this, or you're sounding really charged about that. You're in that extreme case.
Okay.
Bring it into centered manageability, you're in neutral.
Yeah, in the neutral. Okay, it's just that it's such an attractive pole, either one of those.
So agree. So agree. Any other questions before we go on? Okay, all right, so now I'm going to call up all your exercises. Has everybody got into their documents? Neil's in his, Mandy's in hers, Angie's in hers. Patrina, you need to get into yours. Beck, you need to get into yours. We've got some people, there you are. Well, welcome back. That we've got some people who couldn't be on the call tonight, so haven't called up their documents. They'll be with us next week. But in the meantime, let's get on with this. So is everybody with me? Patrina, you okay? Can you get into your document or not?
Is that, it goes to my Gmail, it gives me an,
yes.
So I have to open my Gmail now, do I?
Yes, you do. You have to go into that document. That's 1.2.
Because I did that before, but I didn't realize I had to do it now.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
All right, so let's get going. So section 1, we're using the 7 life areas, which most of you aren't aware of them as strictly as I've put them here. But if you cast your mind back to the sessions you've had one-on-one with me, I've always gone from where have you used your faith and trust or been able to see faith and trust? That's the spiritual. Mental is any time that you're going to use problem solving, negotiating, reasoning, analytical, all those skills. Physical is your physical body and your physical world. Obviously, social skills are social skills. Family is family. Financial, which is also in 2 parts. Financial in terms of how you feel about money internally and your approach to it, and financial in the world around you. And then vocational, your work-life purpose. Is everybody clear and okay with that? Okay. All right, so cycles within gain loss. We're going into the very first exercise here. So before we go into the exercise, if you have a look, that box down underneath with the numbers 1 to 20, you can put your cursor into there and start typing. And you'll see that the box moves for you. So you can type however much you want, and the box will just grow. There's no limit to how much you type in that box. So there, can you see, for those who haven't quite got where I am, there we go, Angie, I can see you there. There, can you see? Now you can type in whatever. Don't type yet because I'm just going to help you here. Now, what I'm going to suggest to you here, and it's really important you listen very carefully to this. You're going to list all the times in your life you felt the most challenges or the most losses or both. And you can expand this list right through the present day. So if you get to 20 and you've got 40, you just add 21 and just grow your list. You might have more than 20. Okay, so you just go down and you go 21 and carry on. So you're going to do that list extensively as soon as possible. Now, why I'm taking this very gently and slowly with you is that the next question, once you've got that list, actually, let's go back. Before I go to this is really important to unlock your memory. If you cannot go back to school or playground or classroom, go back to your earliest recent memory and go backwards, or go back to your first memory you can remember as a child. It can be anywhere. Schoolmates, teachers, classroom, home, parents, siblings, staff. I mean, I've even had people having incidences with their animals where something happened that whatever it was. Visiting friends at the shops, shop owners, people met at shops, shop employees, and you don't need to do this in chronological order. Just as it comes to mind, write it down. College friends, lecturers, college employees, work, co-workers, bosses, clients, customers, romantic relationships, spouses, life partners, children, and so on. And you're going to extensively put as many as you can remember in there and make it as long as you possibly can. And then you're going to go into the next part, which is choose out of the above that you perceive challenge, 3 out of the above, beg your pardon, out of the above that you perceive challenged you the most. So you're going to get that extensive list and decide, it could be number 13, it could be number 2, it could be number 51, whatever it is, and you write those 3 in the 3 at the bottom there. So that's your first day exercises. And then into the next day, you're going to describe in 1 sentence exactly what it is you perceived was lost. So an example here to help you is, on day 2, Wednesday, you lost your mother at an early age. Describe in 1 sentence what you felt you lost out on by losing your mother. Or another example might be that you battled academically at school. So in choice 1, you're going to put exactly what it is you feel you perceived was lost in detail. This is the one time I suggest you put the story in there and express to yourself what you were feeling. And then I'm going to suggest, this is something I'm going to really advise you do. This is my advice about these exercises. The first day of these exercises are pretty standard. You're going to list and then choose 3. So you don't need me to guide you too much, but this you need guidance with. So when you've written that sentence of choice number 1, leave 2 and leave 3. Just start on number 1 first. When you've written it, see at the top right-hand corner, there's a blue share button. You send it through to me and share it. And as soon as I can, I will look at it. That's the pink writing they were talking about. I'll respond and say, you're on track. Carry on to in fact, write and try also the quality trait, nurturing some, but I will help you. Because once you can get choice 1 right, you'll find choice 2 possibly will flow a little bit more easily. Is there anything in what I've just described that's confusing? Does anybody need help with that? Does anybody want to give an example? Okay, let me try and see if I can help you a little bit here. Because don't try and do it now until you get there. Say we're going to take my charge. An example would be my charge that I had a really difficult childhood because my brother was always on my case and correcting me and ridiculing me and teasing me and making me out to be Mrs. Superbrat. Okay, so let's say that's my number 1 choice. And I put it down there. So what did I lose? I lost dignity. I lost the ability to have my voice heard. I lost my ability to feel that I could safely operate from day to day, because if I tried to tell my parents, my brother would say, you're such a telltale. So the whole thing, I could go into a whole story. I lost the ability to keep friends because whenever they came to play, he would commandeer them because he was 8 years older than me, and all my girlfriends thought he was really quite cool, and off they'd go and I'd be sitting there with no friends. So that whole story, can you see I'm putting it down? And now I bring the description down to 1 word, and I would say I'd probably say bully or overpowering. Or that's what I lost faith and trust in myself, or I lost the ability to voice my feelings. So in other words, I couldn't communicate. So you're going to get down to there. But when you come to this one word, put it in and then share with me. So just do choice number 1 and share with me. And throughout this course, what's happened in early years was people would sit down and they'd fill the whole lot in and go, okay, I've done it. And of course, what George was saying is you can easily put things at surface level here. And then, of course, I have to say, you know what, I'm sending you a new form because you've missed the point, and we've got to go gently and slowly through each part so that if you get this right, the next bit flows and is that much easier. It's involved and it's really worth it. And I'm prepared to be there with you for it, to work it through. Anybody want to ask anything more on this? Or are we there? Okay. This is wonderful. Okay, everybody. I look forward to getting your documents shared to me over these next few days. I've given you the guidance of day to day. Don't hit yourself with sticks because you haven't religiously stuck from day to day. But if you manage to do a little bit every day, you'll be amazed how much you'll get done. And then next week, we're going to be online again, and we're going to brainstorm all that you did this week. So some weeks you'll have somebody saying, oh, I really battled with this. And the other person will say, no, it was easy peasy. So the two start comparing notes, and you have no idea how helpful it is for A, moving a charge, and B, completing everything. Because all in all, do try and finish your exercises this week, but you have another week to tweak them before we go on to session 2. So each session is 2 weeks long, unless it's a really, really major group consciousness charge, and then we extend it. But that's more the exception than the rule. So you've got this week to complete and next week to tweak. And Monday to really get it powerfully. Those brainstorming sessions are fabulous. They're fantastic. You won't look back once you start doing them. Okay, so welcome. Lovely to have you here. My heart is full. This recording will go to all the people that couldn't be online tonight. And I just want to introduce those of you who don't know that the one person male in this call tonight is my son Neil in Botswana.
Hello, everyone.
I didn't give you much chance to really say hello, but it's just so super cool to have you on here, Neil.
Thanks, Mum. Yeah, it'll be good to be here.
Yeah, it's really fabulous. Okay, all right, everybody. I will see you next week, but I will hear from you throughout this week. I can't wait to get your exercises. Love you lots. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Thank you.